everybody, it's me, John Ward, and I am back with another Reviews After Midnight. And thank you for joining me for the second episode of 2020. And we're going to continue with action. And I wanted to review one of my all-time favorite. And this would definitely go into probably even my top five of one of my favorite action movies. And we're gonna go off my sheet here, so I'm not gonna say too much because on the last video, if you notice, I jumped the gun a lot. So let's just start with the list. Film title. The title of the film is Ballistic, Ecks vs. Sever. And near the end, I'm going to give you some information about the film. Some of it I am not too happy about because I love this movie and I've loved it since it came out, which would have been 2002, so a while back. And unfortunately, this is the only way of getting this movie. It's Blu-ray, but it's old school Blu-ray with a snap case. Um, I really wish that they would do a DVD on this. I'm sorry, Blu-ray on this. It's already a DVD. Um, and not asking for 4K, just asking for Blu-ray. Audio commentary would be great. So the next question on here is, what star rating would you give this? I'm giving this thing a 5 out of 5. I love this. I actually just rewatched it for the fourth time. I love this movie. I really do. It's 90 minutes of solid action, and I really love this film. Uh, the DVD here has some interesting special features on it. So, but first, it does star Antonio Banderas and Lucy Liu. Ray Park is in this. Darth Maul, he is in this, which is awesome. He has a big part. He's one of the bad guys. And it says your most dangerous enemies are the friends you've double crossed. I think they are perfectly cast along with Ray Park and the rest of the cast. So uh, it says here, go ballistic over exciting DVD extras. So you get an HBO, because this is Warner Brothers. It is widescreen, which is nice. Rated R for strong violence. Runs 91 minutes. Like I said, it's 2002. Um, and so it's HBO first look, the making of Ballistic, Ecks vs. Sever. And that is a 13-minute behind the scenes look where you're talking to, like Antonio Banderas, Lucy Liu, Ray Park, some of the other cast members. They talk with the director, who is listed here as simply Chaos, spelled with a K, so Koas. I am going to refer to him as um, as Witch Chaos. His last name is very long. He's Thai, and I'm not sure how to pronounce it, and I don't want to mispronounce it. So we'll just stick with uh, probably just Chaos or Witch Chaos. Um, so you get to talk to him, and this 13-minute documentary is really good. It's all behind the scenes stuff. You find out that the actors did a lot of their own stunts. This is a lot of this is not green screened, and it's you could see the actors' faces in a lot of the stuff. So yeah, it's a really good little documentary. It says line up in your sights are cool. Know your enemy challenge, and what that is that it's an actual game that's on here. So this is old school, type of game where you're using your remote control to go back and forth. I tried playing it and I don't really understand how it works, but you can either be X or Sever, and you basically just kick each other. It's like a big fight, and then you score points. But I just didn't really get it. So maybe with some practice, I'll understand it more. And then the rest of this is stuff that I don't necessarily think are special features. I mean, interactive menus, theatrical trailer. There is a star, director, writer, film highlights. Once again, this is old school, so you click on it and it's a picture of the person and then the movies that they were in. Scene access, different languages, stuff like that. So yeah, I agree with this up here. Smart, lethal, and sexy. One hell of a wild ride. And that is from the Northwest Cable News, Richard Reed. So I really like this film. So let's look at what did you expect from the film? Um, Originally when I saw it, I don't know, probably not much. I saw the trailer. We all knew at the time, of course, who Antonio Banderas and Lucy Liu were. And I just, you know, said, okay. So my friends and I went to go see it in the theater, and I liked it. But the film over time with me has become one of my favorite action movies. So it's, I enjoyed it as an action movie, and that was pretty much about it. I didn't really, I bought it when I saw that it came out, and I think along with a lot of my films, I was broke and had to pay rent and sold it along with all my other movies, and then at some point had to rebuy it, rewatched it. So that would have been the second time that I saw it. Really enjoyed it, and then just decided to. I saw another film that called Dead Earth, and the name of the director looked familiar, and I looked him up and I'm like, oh my God, it's the guy who made Ballistic, Ecks vs Sever. And so I pulled out my copy, watched it again after watching Dead Earth, which is a great zombie film. And that would also go on my list as one of my favorite zombie movies. And then rewatched it again for this video. So that'd make four times. And just really enjoyed it. So didn't expect really anything back in the day, except saw the trailer. I thought the trailer looked good. And now I just expect to just be very entertained by it. So let's see. It says, what type of film is it? It's an action movie. It's an action movie. That's what it is. It's an action movie. Does it have a message? Not really. It's popcorn. It's you're entertained by it. It's fun. Like I said, it's nonstop 90 minutes of just pure action. And if you pay attention and look at what's happening on the screen, you could see a lot of the times that that's Antonio Banderas driving a motorcycle, or that's, Lucy Liu jumping from fire, or that's actually her and Ray Park fighting, stuff like that. And so that's the really good stuff. As far as the message goes, it's just there to be entertaining. It's just there to be fun, and that's what this is. What happens in the film? Does the plot make sense? Is it easy enough to follow? Is it believable? Well, let's look at the back here, and I'll read what the synopsis is. So let's see. It's the ultimate in infiltration, the maximum in lethalness. Operatives Ecks and Sever, and I used to call it server all the time, and then I got corrected. No, it's Sever, and I don't know why. I just kept calling her server because I'm just an idiot, I guess. Both want to get their hands on a newly developed micro robot assassination device, and that gets injected into your body. They show you exactly what it looks like. They tell you exactly what it can do. And one of the missions in the film is to retrieve this, as they put it here, micro robotic assassination device. But each spy finds something blocking the way. Everything named X or something named Sever. So they do. They battle each other off and on throughout the film. I'm not going to go too much into it because I don't want to ruin it for you because you could probably get this on Max since it's Warner Brothers to watch. It says here Antonio Banderas and Lucy Liu go ballistic as foes destined, if they survive their personal war, to take on the forces pitting them against each other. Hollywood first timer Chaos directs, and uh, which is from he's from Thailand originally, and he made a big movie over in Thailand. I guess Hollywood saw it and came calling, and then he came out to the US to make this, but it was shot in Canada. Orchestrating a bullet ballet, that's pretty good, of action that includes hand combat, wall shredding, street battles, even a runaway bus that flips on its side, splits in two, and skids along in flames with X aboard. A ride like this waits for no one. Hop on. It's funny that is a scene in the film. That's like a whole scene is this bus. So yeah, it says here not authorized for sale outside of the US and Canada. So let's okay. So what happens in the film basically rich a little kid is coming back from Europe. He meets up with his mom at their house. The dad wants the kid back. The mom is mad, and the dad takes the kid back. On the way to the dad, there's a couple explosions. Lucy Liu is there. She wipes out this whole team and takes the kid. And so uh, the dad wants, of course, the kid back. The mom doesn't know what's going on, and at this point, we think that Lucy Liu is just, or Sever has kidnapped the kid, and then the cops go, or FBI actually go to Antonio Banderas, who is X. They reinstate him because he thinks that his wife was murdered in a car explosion. His cop or his FBI friend has found out that she is still alive, but he's not telling her where she's at. Gant is the main villain, Gant. And then his henchman is Ray Park. And so uh, X gets back into the game and they fight, or they being X and Sever, fight off and on, off and on, off and on. Uh, Ray Park, his character, is working with the police and Gant, and they're trying to get X, and it's a whole cat and mouse. There are some really cool scenes in it, and then I'm not going to tell you the ending. There's but let's read on. So it's basically just that these two people here, and like I said, I don't want to tell you too much about the plot because there's a whole plot with her. There's a separate plot with him. There's a plot with Gant, and then there's stuff going on with Ray Park's character. So, but it is a giant cat and mouse fight until, and I'll say this, until they team up, for good reason. So, what happens in the film? Okay, does the plot make sense? Yeah, overall, sure, why not? It does. Yeah, I mean, I'm not confused about anything. It's a little difficult to explain only because there is so much action going on that it's hard to go step by step without giving away something in the plot. Um, is it easy enough to follow? I would say yes. Is it believable? To a point, some of the stunts in it are uh, a little incredible. Like you would think that maybe they break some bones when they hit the ground from a fall. But yeah, overall, it's also kind of comic booky in that type of way. The characters. Who are the main characters? Well, we have Ecks and Sever. Those are our main characters. Bad guy is Gant. We also have Gant's wife and the kid that gets kidnapped in Ray Park. So, um, and the bad guys are bad guys, and the good guys are good guys. You know that it's one of those movies. Um, who are the actors playing these parts, and are they good in their parts? Um, so I have up Wikipedia, and so I'm going to read what this says what the film is about. So, Ballistic Ecks vs Sever is a 2002 action thriller film directed by which Chaos under the pseudonym of Chaos. So it's even though it says A and then it's his full name film, it does say directed by Chaos. Kind of like McG. Let's see. The film stars Antonio Banderas and Lucy Liu as opposing secret agents who team up to fight a common enemy. Uh, it is an internationally co-production between Canada, Germany, and the United States. So cast-wise, we excuse me. Greg Henry plays Gant. You got Ray Park who plays Ross. Uh, Talsia, I'm not really sure how to say her name. Soto, uh, Talasia Soto. Um, she plays Win Gant. I'm hiding some stuff with names from you guys because the names will give the plot away. Miguel Sandoval. He is Agent Julio Martin. And I don't think there's anybody else really big. I mean, those are our main people. So Terry Chin, he plays Agent Harry Lee. So there's a fair amount of agents and stuff. The little kid is played by Adrian Diamond, who's Michael Gant. Um, so those are our main people. And so who are the actors playing these parts, and are they good in their parts? I'd say everybody's good. Everybody's fine, including the kid. The kid is he's pretty one note. He doesn't really show any emotion. And after thinking about it, where I'm like, God, this kid just doesn't show any emotion or anything. This is weird. I would almost prefer that because a lot of kids are bad actors. And their emotions look bad, crying looks bad, their acting is bad. Uh, the little kid, the son, doesn't have a lot of dialogue, which is good. So in a way, I'm kind of happy that he didn't really show a ton of emotion. He mostly like stared. So for me, he was fine. He was absolutely fine. Um, so yeah, so they're all good in their parts. Um, what is the camera work? So the camera work in this, I love. It's very bright, lots of blues. There's a lot of outside shooting. They definitely tried to get a kind of like a comic book Matrix style to the film that I really liked. Um, it does say on here if there are special effects, what are they like? Are there beautiful scenes? Are there moments when the camera is used in an interesting way? So I am going to kind of combine all of that into what I'm going to be saying. So, uh, the first thing that comes to mind is that there's a scene where Lucy Liu is basically shooting this gun that it kind of has like a I don't know, it's not like a bazooka, but it shoots out like a shell and it hits a guy that's trying to shoot her, kind of like a sniper that's trying to get her. and the camera cuts to pretty much this shot of like me, and it's following him down the building, and below him is a car. And from what they say on the behind the scenes, that is a specially made car that when the cop hits the car blows up instead of before he hits the car blows up. So, and it's an awesome long shot of him just falling to this car, or I should probably do it like that, falling back. And there's no music or anything, and he just hits the car, and it's just boom. That is a really cool shot. I appreciated it. I really liked it. Um, Another shot that comes to mind, well, scene is the bus scene that they talk about on the back of the box. There were three buses used. I believe it was three or four. And each bus did a separate thing. So there's a bus that just drives, and it's a one of those like police buses that they transport prisoners in. And so one of those buses just drives, the other bus flips. There's another, so I think there is four. There's another bus that the front of it pulls off, and then there's another bus that just skids. And Antonio Banderas has like a high powered machine gun on top of that, and he's just like shooting it at Lucy Liu because she's the one who flip the bus. And it's actually a really cool scene. I would have liked for it to go on longer. I think if I was editing this, I'd probably have it go for as long as possible with the amount of work that they had to do, just really extend it. But it's a very cool scene. Uh, there's some really cool pyrotechnics near the end, where they're at it's a train yard, and all the trains are blowing up, and I love when like cars or whatever it might be, in this case trains, where they explode, they go straight up and then they fall to the ground, and there's a lot of that. There are pyrotechnics that explode when they explode inward, and you could see that it's actually Antonio Banderas running in front of these explosions. And at one point, and it's a close up, the explosion hits him this way, and he turns and kind of covers his face a little bit. So I rewound it, and I'm just like, that hit him. That looked like that explosion hit him. And according to the behind the scenes, that was actually him. And a lot of the stuff is like Lucy Liu jumping off a train with explosions behind her onto one of those big bags. That's her doing it. And so I'm sorry, I got something in my eye. Apologize. Um, and so it's things like that with like the pyrotechnics and the special effects, and they do show you that there's like a couple green screens in the back, but it looks like for them to maybe put like a city or something in. That a lot of these stunts that they do with the effects is actually them. So there's motorcycle stuff where if X is coming towards the camera, you could see it's Antonio Banderas, but maybe from behind, it could be a stunt person if they're shooting just the back of their head. That's possible. But Chaos does mention that why shoot the back of a stuntman's head when you can get the real thing. Um, and yeah, and some of these scenes, just I really love the photography on this. I think the camera work is really good. I think the editing is really good. Um, I've really come to just love this film, and so I highly recommend seeking it out. I don't think it could be that hard to find, um, even as a physical copy. You could probably buy it off of eBay or Amazon. And like I said, try Max and see if it's there. It probably is. Um, did you enjoy the film? Why or why not? What were its good and bad points? Well, as you probably figured out, I did enjoy the film quite a bit. So there is no why not. Basically, I liked it for everything I just told you. Um, and even has a really good soundtrack, like music soundtrack, and then with like bands, and it also has a good score too. I like the score a lot. I think I have a download of the score. But let's see, going back to Wikipedia here. So So the soundtrack, yeah, it has stuff like the main theme. It's got the name of the game. It's got a Smart Bomb, which is Plump DJ's remix, Heaven Sent original mix, The Flow, I Think of You, Screamer remix, Hell Above Water, Go, Bloodlock, I Need Love, The Aquarium. Oh, that's a nice scene in the aquarium. That's pretty much where we learn all the backstory. Time and Anytime. So that I really liked. Um, and then what are bad points? I don't think there's any bad points. Maybe just the kid just not being emotional enough. But like I said, I prefer him not to be, maybe to get away from bad acting. But yeah, I don't think there's really no bad points in this movie. What scene did you particularly enjoy or remember? Why is it good? Mostly just those action scenes that I mentioned. I love the bus. Um, Antonio Banderas running and covering himself when it's obviously him and just shielding himself from that explosion. Um, I like the backstory of both our main characters. X is a little more Punisher-y, and I'm not sure if I 100% buy his supposed his death and his wife's death, or I should say alleged, like the wife's alleged death and his alleged death in these two car explosions. I'm not sure if I'm 100% on board on that. Sever had a child, and I think she had a husband, and they were at the wrong place at the wrong time, and then that's when Holt kills them because they shouldn't have been there, and there was a mission to finish. Um, and so that's why she's going for revenge against him. So I liked that. There's like a nice picture of Lucy Liu holding a baby that I liked. Um, there's another little kid in it, like a little Asian girl, who I thought doesn't say a word, but I thought that she was kind of funny. So she was good too. Um, let's see here. What scene did you particularly not enjoy, and why was it bad? None. None. I could honestly say none. I really like this movie. I had no problem rewatching it for a fourth time. I just really enjoyed it, and it's just so fast. So, no, there's no scenes. Would you recommend this film to what sort of people and why? I highly recommend this film. At the beginning, I gave it 5 stars. You might not, but I do. The lowest I would give this is maybe a 4 to maybe a 4.5. 5 stars is like Jaws, Citizen Kane, things like that. As far as a fun popcorn action movie goes, I think this is a 5. So, and what people? Just people who love maybe action movies or even superhero movies, spy movies, um, all that type of stuff. So, any of those type of people, anybody who just wants a fun, action-packed popcorn movie that they really don't have to think a lot through. I mean, they tell you the entire thing in the movie. So I don't even think you have to go, oh, wait a minute. Instead, you're like, oh, okay, because there are a few twists in it. Um, and then the last thing on this is, are there any other films you can compare this to? Um, sure, The Matrix, John Wick, Die Hard. I mean, Lucy Liu, so Charlie's Angels. She even brings that up in the documentary that this was harder to do than Charlie's Angels. Antonio Banderas, probably something like Desperado or Once Upon a Time in Mexico. Um, so it's those are the type of films I can compare it to. Superhero movies, probably since this is Warner Brothers, probably more of the DC movies. Uh, might be a better equivalent, more like the X-Men type of stuff than maybe something from Marvel. But yeah, so so that's my list. And so we're going to go back to Wikipedia and we're going to talk about budget and stuff and look at a couple other things. So the film came out in 2002. This is very sad, I think. So its budget, 70 million. And I think it's all there on screen. I don't think you're going, where's that 70 million? It was not a cheap movie, especially for 2002. And but I think you could see it all there. I wish they would have put in maybe some deleted scenes and stuff. Audio commentary would have been great, but alas. So its budget was 70 million and it only made 20.2 million. So my friends and I were part of that 20.2 million. So we did support the film when it came out. It was distributed by Warner Brothers Pictures, but the production company was Franchise Pictures. Um, so one of the producers that they do talk to in the behind the scenes is Chris Lee. The writer of the film is Alan B. McElroy. Some of you might know who he is. He wrote Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers, Rapid Fire, Spawn, oddly enough, Left Behind the movie, Ballistic, Sever verse or Ecks VS Sever, the original Wrong Turn, The Marine, 3, which looks like it's a horror movie, uh, Tekken, which is directed by Dwight H. Little, who did Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. He also wrote The Marine 4, Moving Target, The Perfect Guy, and that's story only. The Condemned 2, Fractured, and he's listed as executive producer on the remake of Wrong Turn from 2021. Television, he wrote some episodes of 21 Jump Street, Wheels of Terror, Todd McFarlane's Spawn, 7 Days, The Vampire Diaries, The Night Shift, uh, Sacred Lies, and Star Trek Discovery. Wow, he wrote 17 episodes of Star Trek Discovery. Video games, he wrote Ground Zero Texas. He's also acted in movies, The Marine, Tekken, 6 Days, Raw, not the Eddie Murphy movie, and Shortland Sweet or Street. Yeah, Street. So that's him. Then we get into the director, Which Chaos, and the film that got him Ballistic is I might be mispronouncing it, but Fah. That was 1998, and then in 2002 he did Ballistic, Ecks vs Sever. Um, After that, I believe he went back to Thailand. He did a film called Angels, which was then turned into a movie called, and Angels was 2012, and that I think it was re-edited into a film in 2015 called Zero Tolerance. He also did a film called The Lost Medallion: The Adventures of Billy Stone. He did the sequel to Tekken, and then there was Zero Tolerance, and then The Driver, Two of Us, One Night in Bangkok, She Rose, and then to be announced is Max with two X's and Bangkok Love Story. It's also to be announced. He was the cinematographer on two Pure Flix movies, religious stuff, about like the rapture into the world, called The Mark and The Mark Redemption. He also is a cinematographer on Once Upon a Time in Vietnam, a movie called Invincible, and The Gun Runner, which is to be announced. So now the sad thing is with this film, with Ballistic, It says here Ballistic was universally panned by critics and has been, I so disagree with this, and has been frequently described as one of the worst films ever made. I 100% disagree with that. It is so much fun. It was also a box office bomb, grossing 20.2 million on a production budget of 70 million. With a total of 119 reviews, the most for a film with a 0% approval rating. Ballistic Ecks vs. Sever is the worst reviewed film in the history of Rotten Tomatoes. And for me, that goes back to um, if you believe in Rotten Tomatoes, we just found out that they pay people to do reviews. I don't know if I think they really started doing that when the pandemic hit, but who knows? It might have been before. People like Harry Knowles were paid off to give good reviews so he could keep getting access to screenings and other things like that. So I don't know when the actual paying off of people with Rotten Tomatoes started, but they're thinking it started at the beginning of the pandemic. So I don't know. Maybe these are honest reviews. We talked about the soundtrack. Now there are two video games, and one of the video games is is just Ecks vs. Sever, and it is a first-person shooter game for a Game Boy Advanced handheld game console. Um, and the game is based on an early script of the 2002 film. This is the first video game released before the and is the first video game released before the film. It is based on had even begun. Oh, this is like worded weirdly. So okay, so the game came out before the movie, and it was before the movie was even gone into production. There is a sequel game that was released a week of the film and follows the plot line more closely than the first game. So now the other one is this is the sequel is Ecks vs. Sever 2 Ballistic. So they just kind of flipped stuff. That's what it's called in Europe. It's a first person shooter video game developed, okay, also for Game Boy Advanced handheld game console, but it was developed by Crawfish Interactive and published by BAM Entertainment in September of 2002. It is the second video game based on the 2002 film. Um, while that game was based on an early, while the first game is based on an early draft of the script, Ballistic, the second one, bearing its ultimate title, is based on its final theatrical cut. So the first game is based off of an early draft of the script. The second game is based off of the theatrical film. So it says here reputation, and this is for the second game. The first level of X campaign was criticized for having a difficult hedge maze that disencouraged many gamers. The game reportedly lagged of many enemies and objects were off screen in certain levels. The sound effects were considered much improved over the first game. So, I mean, they had enough, they put faith in this that, it was going to be a hit. Oh, God. Okay. Reputation for the first game. Whereas the film is considered one of the worst ever made, the game, Ecks vs. Sever, received positive reviews, gamering, and a score of 80 out of 100 on Megacritic. IGN gave the game an outstanding a 10 out of 9, and an Editor's Choice Award calling it the best GBA first person shooter to date and one of the best four-player games made yet for the Game Boy Advance. So this thing has got a lot. It's got the soundtrack. It's got two games. I wouldn't be surprised if there wasn't a comic book out there. But yet it bombed and considered as one of the worst movies ever made. So I don't know, guys. I would go check it out. It's not. It really isn't. It's just fun. Maybe people just need to relook at it. I think so. Um, so please give it a shot. I think it's worth watching. So there's my review, and I really enjoyed it, and I think you would too. Just go into it, just knowing it's 90 minutes of just pure action. You know, the plot's easy to follow. It's fun, and interesting thing that they do mention in the behind the scenes is that Sever was originally a man. So this pretty much just would have been an all male cast. Back then in like 2002, when they changed, Antonio Banderas is actually the one who recommended Lucy Liu. Um, they changed it to a woman, which I think makes it 100 times better. But yet today, I'm not in favor of race swapping or gender swapping without a very good reason. In this, it just sounds like it was just an all male cast, and women would have no reason to go to the movies, and so they gender swapped it. And for me, it worked. Lucy Liu is perfect in this; she is fine, and so I definitely agree with it in this film. So, all right, thank you very much. I really appreciate it, and I will see you next month for another Reviews After Midnight. Bye.